What's up, my dudes? This is my 450 Pro heat race from Anaheim 1 last night, and it had been 7 months since I had lined up behind a gate of a pro race in this game, which is a pretty long time. Check this out right here. I was holding hands with this one dude all the way down the straightaway. What's up, dog? Wow. So you could say I had a bit of the rusty jitters or whatever you want to call it here, because like I'm saying, 7 months without pro racing, that's a pretty long amount of time. And the fact that they don't have semis in the 450s anymore, it's kind of like if you have any one little problem, you get one chance pretty much. You know, you got your heat race, and then the LCQ is just insanity. So but I just wanted to take the time in this video to talk about everything that happened with the EMF racing last night and just kind of go through everything about it. So I know that there was a lot of problems with the qualifying. Like, I mean, some people's lap times didn't even show up. There was tons of people that weren't even pro racing in the qualifying servers. A lot of stuff going on there. They actually ended up adding 30 minutes onto the qualifying, and just all kinds of crazy stuff. And then they actually had their Erode set too high in the heat races, like way too high. And so they ended up cranking that down for like the LCQs and stuff like that. So there was a lot of crazy stuff going on here. It was definitely what you would call somewhat of a disaster. But what I want a lot of you guys to remember is this is their first race of the season. This is the first time EMF is doing all this stuff. It's the first time they're trying to do Erode. You know, there's a lot of first stuff that's going on here. So you just got to bear with them a little bit, man. They'll get better at it. They'll improve on everything. You just got to give them some time. So I know a lot of people were upset. A lot of people were freaking out about it. Just give them a little bit of time. They'll get it figured out. It'll all work out. So, but as far as the Erode in the game, online, I just don't think it's ready. I don't think the game's ready for it. Point blank and simple. Now, I would be lying if I said that there wasn't some occasions where it felt kind of cool. It felt kind of fun. Like, whoa, shit, there's actually ruts on the track for once. Like, there was times where it felt like that. But as a whole, I just felt like there was way more negatives that came along with it than there was positives that came along with the Erode. So, like, let me just go in there and kind of explain it to you in a bit more of a deeper fashion here. But right here, all this Erode, this is like the first time I've ever really raced on a server with any amount of Erode that you could really fill anything on, more than like one Erode, you know. This is basically the first time I've ever actually experienced that here, so that was like a whole new thing for me. And I was trying to just kind of like pull a Dungy and just try and put it on cruise control here, and it actually ended up biting me in the ass here in a minute. Like, I had multiple occasions in this race where I had the top 9 spot in the heat, but just little incidences ended up getting landed on. I don't know. I think that's coming up here on lap really soon. But I was riding smooth right here. I was like, okay, this dude's crashing, that dude's crashing. I'm just going to pass all these motherfuckers and get in here. But it just did really, like, I was trying to play it really, really patient, you know. And it ended up biting me because on one of the sections, there's a fairly big quad there, which I can hit it every single lap when the track is smooth, you know, when the track is how it's supposed to be. But when those ruts and kickers start getting formed, that's when I don't really know if I can hit the bigger quads and shit. That's when it starts getting questionable. You know, I think it's right here where I get, yeah, I think it's right here. Jumped over that dude. So I was already trying to jump over one guy, and I was like, I can't hit the quad, man. And then someone landed on me. That guy should have known right there that I wasn't going to go for the quad because I wasn't, there's someone that crashed right in front of me, so it kind of got me off my rhythm there. But I can't blame him. I mean, I know how it is when you're just trying to go for shit, and sometimes you just end up landing on people, so I can't blame him, but I ended up getting romped like 3 or 4 times here. But so basically with the Erode, I feel like it shouldn't even be in the pro racing right now. I mean, you could put it on like Erode 1 for like 1 or 2 rounds, and then if you had a motor, you could put it on like Erode 2, but for the majority of the rounds in this game, I just feel like you shouldn't even have the Erode on. One of the big reasons is because you guys know how on MX Simulator, when you're racing with a lot of people on the gate, like 22 people, it's one of those things where if you get a good start, then it actually feels pretty decent. Like, the racing feels pretty good. But if you crash in the first corner, it's just absolute hell because, like, you know, you crash in the first corner, you get up, and there's like 20 people crashed in every corner, people shooting over 50 other different directions, people crashing into each other on the jump faces. I mean, you're trying to dodge like 1,000 grenades at one time. You know, it's like so hard to move through the pack in this game as it is. And I feel like when you add the Erode in there, it just adds an extra layer of like making it even more wild and even more crazy and even harder to go through the pack. And it creates this system of like, I almost feel like it's just more unnecessary than it is fun in a lot of occasions. Now, if you pull the whole shot, you know, and you're out there riding and just hitting the ruts however you want to hit them, and it's all fun, like, you may be one of them people that kind of likes the Erode a little more. But get a bad start and, you know, be wadded up with everybody, and then add the damn ruts on top of everything else. And it's not just the fact that it's ruts, it's the fact that it's these type of MX simulator ruts that aren't really quite perfect, you know what I mean, the way that they are. And the Erode in this game, I feel like it almost makes the tracks more one line than it does like open up more lines. I feel like it makes it, like in the corners, you'll be able to see on this gameplay here, like it just makes one rut in every corner. You know, you're basically just hitting one rut here and there, and that's kind of all you're doing. Like in a lot of occasions, it just makes it more one line than anything. And I feel like it lowers the skill gap as well, because you would think it like would raise the skill gap, but it really doesn't to me, because I feel like with Supercross, it's all about being able to like rail the track and being able to hit these big rhythms consistently and being able to really go fast on the track. But all the Erode does is it really just slows everything down. That's all it does, and it makes it to where it's so much harder to hit the quads. And it not the fact, that's not really why I'm upset that it's harder to hit the quads. I mean, that's the whole point of having ruts on the track. But like, it just makes it so much more inconsistent, where it's like you don't know if this guy's going to hit this jump because the track is this certain amount of rutty, or you don't know how random you're going to get a kicker off of this jump face. Everything's a lot more random than it is like true skill based, in my opinion. Whenever you got the Erode on, everything's way more like you're just praying to God that you don't get a random kicker when you try to hook this quad when you got the ruts on, you know, like more so than it is like feeling like an actual Supercross track where you feel like you can hit everything super consistently, and really get that true speed. Like, it's a totally different game when you have Erode on. I mean, it is a totally different game, dude. No question about it. Like, this game, if they continue to do the Erode, it's a totally different online racing experience, pro racing experience. Like, it's just not even the same game. You know, like, it's not about going really, really fast and really learning the rhythms and doing all that kind of stuff. It's more like just this super survival type of race now. You know, it honestly feels like more of a motocross race than it does a Supercross race. And that's what I was saying, like, from the get-go, was like the fact that if they make the Erode, it's one thing to have Erode on a motocross track because that's what it's all about. It's about the ruts, it's about all that kind of stuff. But when you start putting it on a Supercross track, then it changes the whole dynamic and nature of the racing. You know, Supercross is about being like this perfectionism thing. Hit this jump perfect. Rail this corner perfect, where you can really spin the back end around. You know, do all this kind of stuff that you don't really experience as much in motocross. But when you start adding the type of terrain deformation that is in MX Simulator, it makes it too much like a motocross track, I feel like. And then you lose a lot of your, like, perfectionism elements and what makes Supercross. You know, that's just my own personal opinion there. Some people may love the Erode. I don't know. For me, I feel like the game's just not quite ready for it. It's just doesn't really feel like it just doesn't make the kind of ruts I thought it would, you know. It just, tracks become super one line, jumps become way sketchy. And you guys know whenever you're trying to qualify for the pro races, you only get 1 hour to do it. You only get 1 hour to ride on the track before you start racing. So a lot of your learning of the track is done in warm-up whenever like some of the other heat races are going on and shit. But in warm-up, you still experience the Erode. So what that does is like when you're trying to learn the track in warm-up, you've got all this Erode going on, and it makes it to where it's so confusing to the brain, because when this race starts, it's like no Erode, and then you've got Erode, and then you've got no Erode on the next heat race, and then you got Erode, and then you got no Erode, and then you got Erode. It's like so much resetting of your mind, and it just makes it very confusing. And then not to mention the extra lag that it puts on not only individual's PC, but I feel like it puts an extra lag on the server. I know a lot of people talk about, well, you got to change all these graphical settings and it won't put that lag on it. And I do believe that is somewhat true. Like, you can go in there and probably adjust your settings in a certain way or whatever. The lag wasn't super, super bad for me, but I just know how much lag it's going to put across the board with a lot of people, especially people that don't have the best of PCs and things like that. And then when you add that extra lag on everyone, then it makes it to where this person can't judge where his bike is as good, and this person can't figure out where he's going as good, and all these little things start to happen when you put that extra lag in. And I feel like it just puts extra strain on the server itself, on top of everything else. So to me, it just, at this current point in time, it just doesn't seem well enough optimized and well enough integrated into the game to really have it in the pro racing. That's just my opinion. Now, if you want to go in there and have a mudder, that's one thing, but I just feel like them putting in like actually normal berms in the corners and not this like totally rounded off thing. I'm going to do a full-blown track review on this track and explain everything I didn't like about the track and stuff. There's a lot of complaints on this, but you know, they've really built their berms. I feel like they built them around the Erode, like they're totally smoothed off, double smoothed off from 17, which was already crazily smoothed off. What the fuck? I don't know what's going on, man, but it's a totally different racing experience out here. It is what it is, I guess, but yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I mean, there were certain times where it felt okay. It was kind of cool. It was like, whoa, there's ruts. This is wicked. What's up, dog? But like, for the most part, it just wasn't, I don't know, man. Like, I just didn't feel like it belonged, you know? It was like it was just changing it too much. It just wasn't worth it. The extra lag wasn't worth it. The extra kicker bizarreness and the like, I just feel like them putting in pre-made inside ruts, wow, that really fucked me over in that heat race there. Getting knocked over 3 times right there. But like them, I feel like them putting in pre-baked ruts and stuff like that, like on the insides, and actually building their berms up normally and doing all that is way better. And if they want to go in there and have a mudder, just put pre-made ruts on the mudder, you know? It'll just make everything way more simple. I feel like in MX Simulator's current state, that's the better route to go down than trying to do this online Erode. That's just my own personal opinion. Definitely let me know in the comments what you guys think about it, but yeah, man, either way, that's the heat race right there. Try to show some third person of it, but didn't actually qualify for the main. Or I mean, I qualified into the racing, but didn't actually make it into the main. I think I qualified like 26. I don't know. The qualifying was insane. There was a lot of people that didn't even get in because of that. But yeah, man, it's just the first round. They'll get it ironed out. They'll get it fixed up. From here on out, I guarantee you, it'll be like either Erode 1 or it'll be no Erode. By the way everyone kind of reacted to this last night. It's kind of funny. It's like the people that won their heat races, they were like, oh, fuck, I love Erode, dude. Keep it in there. But then everyone else is like, I ain't really digging this, dog. This is too much. It's just too much, you know? Like, even having it on Erode 1, I feel like it just changes the nature of the racing a little bit too much, because the ruts aren't made how you think they would be made. It's not making like as movable ruts, I guess is the way to say it. Everything's so much more hard. It's like hard packed ruts, you know? And if any one little bit of your front, it just, see how one line the corners get? Oh my God, bro. I mean, you would think it would make like more lines and shit. You know, you would think it would make like inside lines and stuff like it would in real life, but it really doesn't do that. It just makes everything way more one-lined. Like, it's basically just builds berms. That's all it really. It's just a berm builder. It's not even. It's a berm builder and a janky, bizarre jump face builder is kind of what it is at this point, honestly. But there's certain occasions where it feels okay, you know, like I'm saying. But as a general overall whole, I just don't feel like it's as good to have in the game right now in its current state. But I'll be back for round 2, man. Just trying to get the pro racing all figured out again. It was a crazy night just with the Erode and the qualifying and the, I don't know, everybody was everywhere on everything, and the no semis in the 450s kind of threw everybody, or threw me off anyways. It's one of those things where you had to perform like in that one race at that one time, and so it's kind of hard to do that after not pro racing for 7 months, but then just kind of randomly getting landed on there, not much you can do about that. So just some little things didn't quite go my way, but I'll be back. I think the next race is Wednesday, this upcoming Wednesday, so it'll be coming pretty soon here. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.